step now. Hey, we're live. Hey,
we live.
How's it going, everybody?
G'day.
Fun times for you today. Now, we're going to let some people pile in. We're going to let some people join the show. We do have a debut of the new cover by Dylan. Now, Dylan, do you want to introduce this cover before? We're not going to run it yet. Just give it a few minutes while people kind of pile in. But can you just kind of give us an idea of what, why, who, what, where?
Yeah. I thought I needed to put out kind of a cover to commemorate this monster of a tour, the Eras Tour, coming to Canada finally. This week is the first kind of debut in Toronto of the Eras Tour at Rogers Centre. And I was thinking of, I've done a number of Taylor covers in the past. I had a hard time picking, as you do. How do you summarize an entire career in, one kind of thoughtful cover? And I, Speak Now, which is the record that this song comes from, was one of my favorite eras of Taylor's. And I enjoyed a lot of those songs. They were with me for a pretty important time in my life. And Sparks Fly was my favorite single from that album. So this is my cover of Sparks Fly by Taylor Swift.
Now, before we do this, I did a couple questions here. So the first one is does Taylor capture any of is she going to strike this channel for playing this?
Oh, that's
have you received any? What's that? Have you?
I've got approval. I've got approval to run the music video. That's all cleared. It got fingerprinted and it's allowed. But I don't know in this case because we're kind of simulcasting it, right? So I don't.
Well, you've released Taylor Swift songs before.
Yeah.
Have you ever had I don't care if they grab the monetization from this video.
No, yeah, it's all on the level. Again, I don't know because we're kind of showing another video in a video. I'm not sure what the legal precedent is there. But the actual video itself won't get taken down because it's cleared. Same with the single, which will be on Spotify and all the other, that's also cleared for license. So
it's funny because some bands deal with this stuff differently, and I know you've posted on your regular channel.
Yep.
So yeah, okay. So just gonna hit up a few people. I Like It UK. Poseidon's in the house, doing pretty good. SR375 Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. Nice.
Yeah, me too.
I've never listened to her music. I'm done listening to radio and don't watch linear TV. I'm Dylan. Would you consider yourself a super fan? A Taylor super fan?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Swiftie through and through.
Yeah. Swiftie? Okay.
Yeah, I've been a fan, and I think the Eras Tour for me is such a vibrant tour because I've been alive and conscious through all of these eras. And I should mention this is not all of the eras. This is my most recent. They keep releasing shirts with more with more eras on them. So this is a few years old now. But yeah, each one of these eras, as they call them, each one of these album cycles has been with me through some very important moments of my life. They've kind of led me to the path that I'm on now and all the rewards that come along with that. And I would definitely say I'm a super Swiftie for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, good to know. Now, I guess we've got enough people clamoring in here. Let's head over. This will be baked into the live stream. So let's go to a screen share. And I'm going to just open this up in the other screen.
I should mention Sparks Fly for me always had kind of a vivid, vulnerable tone to it. Whenever I do covers of Taylor, I try not to do what she's already done. Right? Because I always say if you're going to do a cover of a musician and you're going to do it just like they did, you might as well just listen to the person that wrote the song. So I always try to interpret these in a
good sales pitch.
But you gotta do something yourself with it, right? I try again to stay away from the original or even interpretations that have been done in a live setting. I try to do a thoughtful arrangement that I still feel lends itself to the song and to the verbiage.
All right, you want to announce it? You want to give it the?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, do it.
My rendition of "Sparks Fly" by Taylor Swift. The way you move
move is like a full-on rainstorm, and I'm a house of cards. You're the kind of reckless that you'd send me running, but I kinda know that I won't get far. And you stood there in front of me, just close enough to touch, close enough to hope you couldn't see what I was thinking of. Drop everything down, meet me in the pouring rain. Kiss me on the sidewalk, take away the pain, 'cause I see sparks fly whenever you smile. Hit me with those green eyes, baby, as the lights go down. Give me something that'll haunt me when you're not around, 'cause I see sparks fly whenever you smile. My mind forgets to remind me that you're a bad idea. You touch me once and it's really something you find. I'm even better than you imagined I would be. I'm on my guard for the rest of the world, but with you I know it's no good. And I could wait patiently, but I really wish you would drop everything now. Meet me in the pouring rain. Kiss me on the sidewalk, take away the pain, 'cause I see sparks fly whenever you smile. Get me with those green eyes, baby, as the lights go down. Give me something that'll haunt me when you're not around, 'cause I see sparks fly whenever you smile. Run my fingers through your hair and watch the lights go wild. Just keep on keeping your eyes on me. It's just wrong enough to make it feel right. Lead me up the staircase, won't you whisper soft and slow? I'm captivated by you, baby, like a fireworks show. Drop everything now, meet me in the pouring rain. Kiss me on the sidewalk, take away the pain, 'cause I see sparks fly whenever you smile. Get me with those green eyes, baby, as the lights go down. Give me something that'll haunt me when you're not around, 'cause I see sparks fly whenever you smile. Oh, babe, you smile when the sparks fly.
I'm back. They're fine.
He's back.
pain in the ass.
That was a roller coaster.
That was one of those
What?
things.
So what we've learned is we need, if we ever do this again, we need to find a better way to do that.
I think the cancellation,
Yeah.
and you can hear the cancel. I can hear the cancellation. I can hear my voice on your channel.
Oh boy.
1 second. I also got to turn off State of Grace. Seems to pop up too.
Now you're getting the autoplay.
So Echo of Aiden. Yeah, I know, right? Okay, let me check my settings too. Echo cancellation on. Reduce mic background.
This was, if you haven't noticed, this was kind of a last minute decision to decide to do this in conjunction with the stream. It made sense because it was already coming out of 5, and obviously I was going to be kind of busy just getting all the social stuff together anyway. So, but yeah.
Here, 1 second.
If you want to hear the full quality version of that, feel free to go to my channel, Dylan.
Yeah, post the link.
Yeah.
Post the link in chat. If that doesn't work, send it to me and I'll post it. Actually, I have the link. What am I talking about? You sent it to me already.
I just posted it.
Yeah, that's right. You're a wrench. You're allowed.
I'm a wrench, but I don't know if StreamYard knows that I'm a wrench.
No, it shows up in StreamYard. I see the wrench there. Can everybody see the link? Let me know. If you can't, I will make sure I post it some other way. That's on Dylan's channel. I think there's a lot of people realizing you've got a hell of a voice, dude.
Thank you, sir. That's great.
Also just this extra level of acumen with music, man. It's you know what's interesting that I've discovered as I've been working with you over the past couple of years now, and I've been trying to kind of reestablish a lot of my skills that I had back years ago when I was touring, when I was lead guitar, I was releasing albums. I think I have the yips. That sounds weird, but I'm pretty sure. Like I was going over. I was watching Stephen Hendry. He's a Scottish billiards player, a snooker player, and he was like top of the world. And then all of a sudden, in about 2001, I think he just got the yips and he completely forgot how to play. And like I'm talking like #1 player. And then I'm going through and I'm doing my scales, and then I'm noticing I'm picking it improperly. And that's never been an issue before. And it's just my fingers aren't doing what I want them to do. I'm starting to think that, man.
If you've fallen away from it, and I've had it before, like I've listened to stuff that I recorded like 15 years ago, and I'm like, how did I do that? I don't even remember. Like performance wise, right? It's always some instrumental thing, and I'm like, I don't remember how I played that. And then I'll try to figure it out and be like, nope, whatever way I did this is just lost to me now. And I think
I've got songs that I've actually had to like listen to and try to play along with because I can't remember how I wrote them.
If there's any reason why it's good to keep up those skills, those artistic, those kind of performance-based skills, it's because you'll get the yips. You'll totally.
I don't understand. So apparently it's some sort of brain chemistry thing that causes them. And I'm trying to kind of struggle through and figure it out and do what I can do, but fuck, is it ever? It's frustrating. I gotta love Bangs. Thanks for the super chat, Bangs. Came to make fun of him, and it's something good.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Dylan will kind of set you wrong. If you try to make fun of him for his music skill, you're kind of up shit creek.
I don't care. You know, music is one of those things that's super subjective. I've had people critique, my interpretations of mixes, and I'm like, hey man, I made it the way that it sounds good to me. If you want to make a version that sounds good to you, have at her. You know, I'm kind of beyond the point of trying to please everybody because it's impossible, and you end up washing out your brand trying to do it. So
I mean, you're not doing it for, this is a thing that I've kind of run into with commentators on YouTube as well, as people are like, well, you don't do this. And I'm like, well, I'm not making the content for you. I'm technically making it for me.
Yeah.
I enjoy making the content. I know that there's people think that, like I'm talking to Bandrew's approach to a lot of creating content is brilliant, and it's pure because Bandrew's doing it because he sees a goal to release content to fulfill that goal. It's not because he wants people to watch the content. Of course, there's a part of you that it sucks if nobody shows up to watch a video.
Yeah.
But the
Well,
core is I love there's a passion behind making
oh,
this
there
content.
has to be. Like even you and I were talking earlier this week about how like I've rendered out the video for like the 6th freaking time. You know, and why, right? It's always some stupid little thing that I'm like, I'm weighing okay, do I put in the other extra work to fix this one little thing that's going to bug me for eternity? Or, you know, am I just going to let it be? Is it worth it? And there were still things at the end. I'm like, oh man, if I'd done like a composite with like a Gaussian glow, I could have had like a little glow on the title, you know, like, I'm like, no, stop, dude, just stop. Just leave it.
There's a certain level of and I like, this is kind of my, I don't know if I call it bitterness or pessimism that I've kind of acquired over the past few years of doing YouTube, but there's a point where for your sanity you have to let it go.
Well, and honestly, it's how many memes, you know, for anyone in the audience that does music stuff, music mixing, the memes of the skeleton at the mixing console that's just like, I think it's almost there. And you know, there is a point of diminishing returns, right? There is a point where you've made all the big ticket changes, and I've slowly learned over the years to trust my judgment. You know, if I think something is release worthy, 99% of the time it's release worthy. You know, occasionally I'll be led astray, and I'm always growing. That bar is always being raised. But you know, I don't put something out unless I'm absolutely convinced like I'm on the right track with this, right?
Yeah. It's no, it's really, really cool to see. Yes, this is something that I know there's a lot of people that come to my channel for specific stuff, and I don't think music's ever going to leave this channel.
No, we've tried. In fact, great segue. Let's talk about where this was shot.
Oh shit, yeah.
Into music at Dark Corner Studios.
So the piano shots of Dylan sitting at the piano playing is we had 3 cameras on him. I think it was 3.
Yeah.
And it was at the studio that we're at when we did the How to Mic a Drum set. The video that completely bombed. That's I think cost me about $800 to put it together, and it's $1 per view so far. I think it's at about 800 views. Yeah, we shot this after that. This was kind of like hey, let's do this video and then you know, get whatever we can on.
Yeah, I think our logic at the time was I kind of looked at the back line of this studio because it was both our first times ever using this facility, Audio Valley in East End, Ottawa. Yeah. And I looked at the rig. I was like, oh, they got a Steinway. I like that. That sounds good to me. Let's do that. And so I'm like, let me see what I've got on the docket. And it was such a rush job too. Because I think you and I had figured out it's probably take us roughly 2 hours to shoot the music or to shoot the drum video. And then it's like, oh, well, you know, let's book 3 hours and let's, you know, try to scramble to shoot a music video in there. And the footage that came out of it, there were so many things about it that I wasn't happy with, but I made it work.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone's going to pick out the one that really annoyed you. We'll see.
Oh, there are so many that really annoyed me. Most of them I was able to sort of massage in. You know, once you start getting good with a video editor, this is my first time using DaVinci Resolve. As I'm really happy with that software. Power under the hood there for DaVinci Studio in particular is it makes something like this actually really easy to put together once you kind of know what you're doing. And you know, I was able to fix, and again, massage in, do some color correction. A lot of the, you know, when you're looking at just naked footage, right, you're just like, oh no, the coloring, you know, we didn't have a ton of control over like light temperature and stuff like that. So once I had kind of color graded it and figured, you know, what I wanted the overall texture to be like, then I was a little more happy with it.
It's weird. So all the comments dried up like completely, and I was like checking to see any of the places of, are people still commenting or what's going on? Anyways, people are probably just listening to us, Dylan.
Which is yabber.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I don't think music will ever leave this channel because it's such a core part of who I am. I mean, my life has been dominated by music. Even though I didn't start this channel with music in mind, I mean, I would be an idiot if I didn't try to segue into that at some points, but definitely like I love the idea that maybe we can also put some eyes on your content, because I mean, if you're whether you're a fan of Taylor Swift or not, like I know there's some people that are very polarized with their music taste,
Yeah,
which I find ridiculous.
Mhm. Well, and
Um,
also as a public figure, for whatever reason, Taylor's become a very kind of polarizing public figure. Like most celebrities that endorse political candidates, I hate to say it, but that's as soon as you cross that line, and I don't blame Taylor for any of that. But
yeah,
it's a result, right? The polarized nature of some people as a result of that kind of stuff. Which stand up for what you believe in, 100%. I would never discourage
yeah.
that. Um,
Well, yeah, that made things awkward. This I gotta point this out. Will Clegg says, "A shame the tech was off. Dylan's original recording is light years better. Listen to the link."
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan, also check your channel, see if your sub numbers are going up.
yeah, we'll check it out. I should mention, there will be a second channel in the not too distant future talking about, more talking head stuff, music stuff. This channel that the link is leading to is mostly just like music videos of both my original stuff and covers.
There's
Yeah.
one.
But yeah, I think we've learned that StreamYard, the generation loss trying to pass video through StreamYard is very real. And so next time, if we are doing something like this, we'll find something a little bit more streamlined to do it.
Oh, my dog is trying to get my attention. I hope y'all don't mind, but he's going to get really annoying soon. I'm trying to see if you have all of the songs on here. Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain.
Yeah,
guys, if you're on Dylan's channel and you want to see a kick-ass song, Singing in the Rain is up there, one of my favorites. I actually used the song on one of my videos.
Yes, you did. I remember when you were doing like your construction videos when you were building the new setup way back when.
I wonder, come here, Bob. Come here.
Bob. What are you doing, Bob? I love that he named his dog Bob.
This is Bob. He's a Chihuahua pit bull. Pitwawa, we call him.
Pitwawa.
I figure I'll bring him up. Yeah. So while I was building this studio, I did a build update. This was before like this channel really took off, and I was trying to find ways to engage. And I wanted to do one of those like kind of music based vlogs, and I love the way it turned out. It actually turned out great. I timed it great with the opening of the house and all that stuff. But yeah, that is one of my favorite songs still to this day. I listen to it quite often. Bob, everyone says hi.
There's some more. I should also mention there's some more original stuff kind of in that stylistic direction in the not too distant future. So stay tuned for that. Some original stuff coming up. But yeah, for now, Taylor, sparks fly.
Yeah. Poseidon, I really don't understand. I actually highlight this. Bob, I am going to have to put you down, brother. I really don't understand people who can't or won't listen to different types of music than their preferred genre. They miss out on so many great songs and artists. Yeah, I will gravitate. 1 second. Love you, buddy. I'll gravitate towards less pop. I'm not very pop heavy, but I gravitate to a lot less of it. But there's some shit that I'm a fan of. I like Billie Eilish. I like a lot of the music. My kid usually is the one that's
that's a great kind of conduit into what's current, right?
Yeah. And, well, it's what's current. Like I worked at a pop station. My last job was an Indigenous pop station. It was supposed to be hip hop, but it was mostly pop. And that kind of gave me an opening into the world. And would I order it every time? No, but I'll take it off the menu a few times, every once in a while. Yeah. And there is still some music that really does land with me.
There's kind of the cockpit genres, right? There's your wheelhouse genres. Like I'm sure you would say
Mexican polk or rap. What is Mexican polk?
Polka, I'm assuming.
Polka. Mexican polka. I think
that was like or I don't think those were connected.
So
I think it's like Mexican.
There's a lot of rap music that I love. One of my favorite songs while I worked at Element FM was A Tribe Called Red. Did a song called R.E.D.
Mm-hmm.
It's still to this day one of my favorite songs. An Indigenous group from Canada. It's such a powerful song. There's a lot of rap that I actually really do like. It's again like every other kind of music that isn't my main genre, which is metal. It's not going. I'm not like seeking it out, but if I find something I like, I stick with it. Now I need to look up what Mexican polka is.
Yeah, I really want to hear this now. Like I want to hear the marriage between those two things. That's
Mohammed, thoughts on Mayono PD 400X? Mohammed, I don't know. I haven't touched the Mayono PD 400X. I've stopped working with Mayono because of my relationship with them and kind of the way they were a little dirty under the collar there. So I'm no longer working with them or pretty much most companies.
Yeah,
Fine was pretty decent. Yeah, I put out a video. Fine was pretty decent, but the amount of toxicity in that end of the mics just wasn't worth it to me. So good luck. Hopefully you find some videos that actually fill out that question for you, buddy. PD 200X was the last one I touched. But yeah, fuck, now I've got to look at Mexican polka. Oh, is it polka, like Polka, like polka music?
Yeah, I think that's what.
See, man, I like Weird Al Yankovic. I grew up with him. I still like White and Nerdy is one of my favorite songs.
That's classic. That's a classic.
Just his videos were so. Was the other one? Some of them are really problematic. Now you listen to his the song "Fat." It's real problematic when a couple of those lines. Oh, it's the other one is Gangsters or Amish Paradise.
Yeah. I was just gonna say I know the one you're thinking of. Yeah,
Amish. You know, Paradise. We're nerds when we're talking about our favorite Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, Weird Al Yankovic songs. Yeah, well, generational thing too, I think, in a lot of cases. But no, I think you and I, Aiden, we're in the content business, right? This is what we do. Yep. You do this every day. I do this every day, and I think when your brain is kind of constantly going through that, you look at a piece of content as something with a mission, right? It's got a purpose. Its purpose is to convey something, is to communicate something. And so for me, a good piece of content, stylistic things be damned, is does it accomplish what it sets out to do? And if the answer is yes, then it's good content. And so I apply the same kind of rule with music. Music's job, the different genres of music, they're all different storytelling tools. And if, I can kind of wrap my head around and grasp what the song is, even an instrumental song, what it's aiming to communicate or convey into me emotionally, then it's I can get behind it. It might not be something that I personally would do as part of the stuff that I am interested in. Like, for example, I probably won't ever put out a rock song. I say that now, knock on wood. But, it's not on the... But I'm
on the other end of that spectrum where I couldn't ever see myself putting out a pop song.
That's fair.
I like kind of in the music I've written and released was kind of like, I would say Pearl Jammy.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have very guitar driven stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there is a place in pop music for guitar driven. But I think, and I got into it for a while. There's some original songs that I put out that are more synth heavy, that are a little bit more poppy. And there's even some stuff in the future that'll kind of be in that realm as well. But I've always gravitated towards the more organic, more organic pop or just more organic music in general, like rock and whatnot, that are a little bit less technically reliant.
See, if I were to choose, so I've only ever teared up at once at a live show. And speaking of like you're talking about the movement of even an instrumental, the part that made me tear up was an instrument. It was going into a solo for a song, and it's called Blackbird by Alter Bridge. And it has this moment when Miles Kennedy transfers over to Mark Tremonti, where he starts off the solo with a little lilting thing leading up to this big explosion solo by Mark Tremonti. And it's just one of the most beautiful pieces of music. It's hard rock, I would say. Like, it's on the verge of hard rock, heavy metal, or at least whatever today's consideration of that is.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating too.
Subdivided 200 times.
I
can't keep track.
It's fascinating how that, between you and I, like, I remember once you helped a band do some metal, and you're like, see what happens.
Yeah, honestly, I've any genre that I've listened to enough to understand kind of what the core mechanisms of that genre are, I'm comfortable to produce or to mix. I think to me a mixing engineer, just make stuff sound good. Be familiar. I'll get different reference tracks for different genres. I've had to do little hip hop things here and there, and that's probably the furthest I have ever stepped out of my element as a mixer or as a producer. But it's fun because I don't know, those genres are kind of unlocked. You can do a little bit of everything, and it's just a melting pot of everything else kind of together with spoken word.
Just want to point out Kevin Connors, Singing in the Rain, amazing. Dylan, amazing writer, producer, performer. Yeah, that song, it caught me the first time I heard it. He sent me, I think you just sent me the music one, or no, I was at your place.
Yeah.
And you played it for me. This was way back when you first lived in Ottawa, and we were hanging out playing pool in your room there, and you played it for me, and I was like, dude, you got to send me that song. You're like, it's not done. I'm like, send me the fucking song.
Yeah.
So
that was the story. The amount of times I show stuff to people, even lately, where I'm like, they're like, oh, what is so that's done, right? I'm like, it's 99.6% the way there.
Done. I think you sent me a free copy of it, and then also the same. I purchased the Time Worn. By the way, guys, Time Worn, Dylan Lalonde, Time Worn, well worth a listen if you like jazz fusion.
And it's all instrumental stuff. Again, we talk about guitar driven. That was guitar to softer. There's some bluesier elements to it, but still very guitar driven stuff in there.
Yeah. Sure. I Like It UK. Do a cover of Rainbow Connection from the Muppets. This is,
what's weird? You're not the first person to tell me that. That's weird. Of all the things, maybe it's the hat. Maybe for some reason the hat.
Yeah, possibly. I just got to get to this before he leaves. But Jerker, how's it going, buddy?
Good night.
Currently on board game night, just tuning in for the obligatory weekly mention of my name. I appreciate
Jerker.
I would say, like, it's an interesting concept of the last song that I don't know if you'd call it ill-advised, the choice of the music. The Chemical Workers song, which is a favorite of mine.
I love that, man. I still listen to that pretty regularly, actually.
I don't know if it was ill-advised to use a niche East Coast Canadian band for that video.
From an artistic standpoint, it was fun. From a business standpoint, I think that was corporate suicide. But it is. But from an artistic standpoint, that was fun. I enjoyed that project a lot, actually. That was doing that song with you, collaborating on that was probably one of the highlights of my year, honestly.
Well, it also makes me wonder, like, what was so staying current with a lot of the music that's relatively hyped out there, that kind of verges between pop and rock. Because if you and I are going to team up to do a song, we're not going to go full pop. We're not going to go full rock. We're going to be kind of in the middle.
Yep.
So it's a matter of like finding those kinds of concepts and maybe taking something that was more like the Muppet song and turning it super serious would be kind of a fun song. That would be kind of fun. Like turn it into I can't remember the song off by heart, how it sounds, but like making it a hardcore emotional acoustic song.
But even, I'm thinking about it because we've done to date, we're going to do more, but to date, we've done two covers. We've done Chemical Workers song and Hurt. And I feel like, my philosophy of do it different than it's been done, I think we kind of carried that through there. I mean, obviously, our version of Hurt was quite close to the Johnny Cash impression, but so differences there.
I still say, especially with a song of that gravity, you don't fuck.
No, and this is it, right? You have to know, and you and I talked earlier in a conversation about knowing when to ride the line. And I think there's definitely lines you don't cross. Like, a good example is in my rendition of Sparks Fly, there is a motif in there that is from the original song, an instrumental that da na 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 na. I'm gonna get copyright strike for that. I can't sing too much of that on the stream, but so that's part of the song, and that's kind of, for me anyway, that's a really important focal point of the song musically. So of course I find a way to weave it into my rendition of it. I think the piano was kind of a given for that because I hadn't heard a piano version of it that I really liked anyway. The throwing in the ensemble for me, and one of my favorite elements to work with is a strings ensemble because it's one of the most emotional instruments, and I find it's a very emotional song. So I found that that string ensemble augments it a little bit. So making little decisions like that sometimes is just enough to kind of put it in its own little happy place.
So I'm thinking we're doing a Black Friday stream again.
Yep.
That's definitely going to have to happen. What I'm thinking of doing though is, because I'm going to be picking up a lot of like probably Native Instrument stuff, but I think maybe our next challenge would be a producer challenge that we were talking about, I think last year, where you, a talented producer, takes on a noob like myself who probably can't produce his way out of a wet paper bag. But I think we'd put some challenges on that. Like I would be able to use all the tools. You'd only be able to use stock kind of stuff. Maybe we can make it a little interesting like that, or we could save that for later.
Yeah, no, I'm still down for that idea. I think even maybe taking something like, if I mix out not the stems, but just the raw of one of the songs that we've done, and then we both kind of start from scratch, and we're both limited to like stock tools.
I know, what I want to do. What I want to do is we write our own songs.
Yeah, that would work.
And people get to choose their favorite song and their favorite production.
Interesting.
And
yeah.
If somebody can clean sweep.
Yeah, two different things, because you're quite the songwriter. So there's a high likelihood that you're gonna sweep the floor with me on the songwriting, but then production wise, obviously. So yeah, separating those, and then kind of having a poll to get people to vote. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that would be fun. And like, man, I might need to reach out to you to help me with one or two things. But
I'll be a good sport. I'm not gonna be a dick.
No, I think that would be that might be the next phase for trying to bring some music into this channel without making people raise an eyebrow. But I do think,
let's do an interesting thing. Like, let's do a DAW challenge. It's like, all right, we both mix a song, and we got to use the stock tools. We'll use different DAWs, and we'll see. Okay, stock toys. Which DAWs are better? Which DAWs can come up with a better result? Oh God.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Studio One plugins are better than.
Yeah, don't use Adobe. Please don't.
No, I would use Studio One. God.
Yeah.
It's either Studio One or Logic.
You've got Logic. I'm not going to make you use Logic because I know you haven't really delved too much into it yet.
It's been so long since I've been on Logic that nothing seems normal. Like it just seems stupid. Like we're trying to bounce individual tracks, and I never really learned how to do it. And like you and I were both sitting there, we're like, how the fuck do you bounce the individual tracks, man?
No, and honestly, Resolve is a bit the same. Like it kind of has a magical place that it seems to store everything, all of its databases and stuff, and controlling that I find is less easy than it was in like Premiere. Everything else is a dream, but specifically the data management of DaVinci can be a little cumbersome sometimes.
Yeah, I'm getting spoiled with Final Cut Pro. DJ Play Nice, Dark Corner, thanks for hosting. So next, let's move on to a couple other things before we go. First thing is I've just made a decision, executive decision in regards to the live stream. Yes, we are going to be keeping it the way it is, but I'm also going to pivot a little bit, and I'm going to be using this platform closer to a morning show style, where I'm actually going to not have quote unquote subjects, but we'll just fuck around with a few things here and there. For example, I need to know who you got, Jake Paul or Mike Tyson. It's happening tonight. Have you seen, Dylan, have you seen anything about this?
I know about it. I haven't
Mike Tyson just bitch slapped him at where they go nose to nose.
I mean, I think anybody, even that's not familiar with boxing, seen that coming. As soon as my partner mentioned it to me, she's like, "Oh, this is happening." I was like, "Well, that's sealed."
Yeah,
I don't know what this guy thinks he's going to get out of Tyson, but
well, I mean, dude's in his 50s. I still wouldn't want to fight the guy in his 50s.
No, God, no.
Scary as hell.
Yep.
But I also, like, I don't know. The guy is probably the greatest boxer that ever lived, as far as I'm concerned. I'm looking forward to. See, here's the problem too.
Anybody going to debate Aiden on that? We're going to start a panel discussion.
See, and this is the question. A lot of people are on Twitter. They're like, "Oh yeah, okay. So one guy's Jake Paul and the other guy's a convicted rapist." True.
Yes, of course, yeah.
However, Jake Paul, for some reason, I put him in a worse category.
Yeah, I did bad taste in my mouth. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, the Paul brothers have never really done all that much for me. But I think it might be interesting to take some wagers, and I would love to see what Vegas is doing with this. Actually, that's a good idea.
Yeah, check that out.
Vegas odds on Tyson
They'll
fight.
find a way to monetize anything with bets. 100%.
Oh, USA Today, there's lines out on it. Okay, go away. Paul to win. Tyson is favored. Oh no, sorry, Jake Paul's favored. Wow. That's crazy, Jake. Well, I guess from an age perspective, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, I would say.
I'm hoping for a first round TKO. Tyson knocks out Paul with one punch. He did that a shocking amount of times back in the 90s. I remember watching his fights at the bar. Like we always went and played pool at the bar. We didn't really care. They didn't charge you to get in for it. There was one specific bar in Thunder Bay called Donnie's Den. And we used to go, and it was one of the few places that people would leave us alone so we could play pool. But they would always have the title fights or whatever going on. And like there was never more than 20 people in the bar at a time. And we'd watch the Tyson fight would come on, and like 30 seconds later, it's over. He would crush people, and he had this this dodge that he would always catch people surprised by. Is he would literally duck under a shot and connect with a haymaker, and this haymaker apparently was like being hit by a truck. And you just see them crumple in the first round, 30 seconds in. I would love to see that. I don't know if it would be a TKO, although I think Jake Paul's he's a pretty sturdy fella, and I'm pretty sure Tyson's lost his edge on his punch, but he's still built like a truck, man.
Oh yeah, built like a tank.
I don't know, man. That's going to be a hell of a fight. But yeah, what do you think of that, Dylan? Working this towards a little bit more of a morning show style.
Yeah, well, I think it's it's obviously we prioritize engagement, talking with people over. So we're gonna go off on tangents. It's inevitable. But if there's any topics you guys want to see us talk about, like broadly, maybe it's worth putting together a quick list with a poll and just see.
I think the big thing will be it'll be on Discord. We'll be talking.
Crowdsourcing. See what people are thinking. Obviously, audio stuff is still gonna be a lot of what we're talking.
Yeah. And also it's also going to be 99% of it is Q&A. Like that's not going away. I think it's the idea of having conversations around stuff that might be relatively entertaining. I've always got ideas from back in the day when I was doing morning show stuff where games you can play. Some of my favorites, man. And you can include people from the audience that can kind of play along as well. So I think stuff like that might be fun.
Yeah, and two, I think it'll help us be a little more consistent. I think sometimes people join the live and they'll read the they'll read the live and they'll go, oh, it's about this, and then we come in and they're like, what am I in for? What is happening?
And you know what I mean? That's understandable. I get that. So canned cheese.
I do think in the, I know we're not there yet making New Year's resolutions, but I think in the new year, I'd like to do more. I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but to do more streams live, because I feel like, that, again, you talk about like a morning show energy, a lot easier to do when you're not on like a video call delay.
Yeah. You know what? I think, for us to get together, the biggest problem is where we live. I think if you ever move, to go to, like, if you move over to the new location for the company you work for, are you going to move to be close to it?
At some point, because where I am is across the city.
If you move, you will be a lot closer to me. And not just closer in distance, but also closer in transportation. Like it's a lot
in practicality.
Where you live is a gigantic pain in the ass to drive to.
Yeah. Well, from where you are, especially, again, you're across the city. You're further than my work will be. And that's a 2-hour bus ride.
But like from where you'd be going, it's literally a single bus to be, a 10-minute walk from my place. So I think that's something in the future that could be possible. I also want to set up a situation where we would have more of a background to do something like that. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to be possible, because I'm running out of room as it is. But I think we could probably make it here and just have it like a collapsible experience.
Yeah.
SR375 wants to talk about canned cheese. Somebody, I think, can't remember who said it on. It was Midnight Wolf who was talking about canned cheese. And
canned cheese.
I've never had any cheese that gets ejected out of a can.
No, yeah, can't say I got much experience in that department either.
I would not say, and I wouldn't, especially on a good cracker. DJ Play Nice, he's favored Paul. Really? Bet that shit right now. Yeah, you know what? I'm not a betting man, but if I had to put money on one of them to come out of there alive, it would be Tyson. My concern is somebody's going to die in the ring. And I'm not even kidding when I say that. Like, you're talking about Mike Tyson, who had a medical event which had this delayed, versus a kid that might not be technically proficient enough to avoid what Tyson has. When the reason he was so terrifying is he was too fast to hit, and when he hit you back, he would floor you.
Yeah.
So if he's still too fast to hit, I don't know, man. I don't know. I would not be putting money on him.
Yeah, he's got the speed and the impact strength. Like that's a deadly combo.
DJ Play Nice, morning show, a lifestyle element, behind the scenes, today's technique segment. Yeah, I think more from the perspective of like keeping the Q&A, because that's always going to be a massive part of it. But recognizing when we come in that there's 2 to 3 things that we're focused on. I would love to have a weekly segment that people look forward to. And like what that is like a morning show might have a game they play that everybody looks forward to. A good example used to be, is it a woman giving birth or is it porn? And they'd play sounds.
Just the audio.
And if you could get as X amount right, something, it would be a prize or something. I think it would be a lot of fun, and maybe even bringing in bringing people onto the show through Discord, right? Bringing in the Discord audio chat, I think would be a lot of fun, and making it quote unquote a call in, but opening it up to stuff like that and having a little bit more fun and more engagement with audience than other than just kind of Q&A, but the Q&A will still stay. I will not get rid of that. One of the reasons, like I said, we've done this all along is just so we can interact and be part of the experience for the audience, rather than just hearing two dudes sit here and talk over you.
Yeah, well, it's a community here, right? And we like that interactive. We like to, obviously, cranking out stuff in an echo chamber is great, but it doesn't really materialize in anything if you
and you
don't like to meet some people along the way.
This is something that I've also like, the integration with Discord and making Discord more of an appealing setup. We've got a couple moderators in there now, and I appreciate everything they're doing, because damn, that needed to be moderated. Good God.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also got one of the moderators who's expanding the channel a bit, and I'm gonna see if I can work with them to figure out ways that I can get little things like piping in the Discord chat would be really easy. I use a Rodecaster video for this, and I can easily set up virtual channels with a Rodecaster Pro Duo. I think something like that might be worth it. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and maybe make it even more interactive than it is. I Like It UK. What do you think the next hyped audio feature will be? We have had 32-bit float, but what is next? See, this year is video, and I remember calling that in January, or was it January? Yeah. And I was kind of right. The Rodecaster video came out, but I thought it was going to be more of a push by other people because of the Streamer X. I couldn't have been more wrong. I think the next step is going to be expanded DSP. I think that's the next logical step of the universal audio style DSP becoming a little bit more prevalent. So companies like PreSonus opening up some of their VSTs to work on maybe a PreSonus podcast mixer. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. Maybe there's something more to it that's a little too hard to do. I'm waiting for somebody to hit that button and to start building up their own. And this is the thing, it's a financial gain for the company, because you would sell those VSTs. Like, even if you sold them for $5.99, You know how much a company like Rode would make if they created a series of VSTs? I don't think Rode's going to do that necessarily, but I think that might
Well,
be
I think the problem is as soon as you get into that territory, you're competing against some really big players in that space. So if you're writing software and you plan on selling it for audio processing or video processing, you really better know what you're doing and be offering something that the 100 other plugin companies like the Isotope and the Waves and the
But
Fab.
what if there was collaborations between companies? This is what I'm talking about. Not necessarily like a company like Rode going out and releasing their whole line of VSTs, but like PreSonus already has their own lineup of VSTs. Like there's PreSonus branded stuff out there that's actually not horrible. And there's PreSonus also works with Klangheim, with a lot of other brand names that maybe they can bring that kind of stuff in. Again, this is kind of just a guess with the way DSP is becoming prevalent. In almost everything I see, companies like SSL that's still releasing stuff that's just a stock interface. Even though it's 32-bit. Yeah, I don't know. I could see DSP becoming a massive thing.
And DSP, like we've seen it for a while. Obviously, UAD being one of the bigger names in like professional DSP, and that stuff ain't cheap.
No, it's not.
The plugins themselves and the hardware requirements. I mean, some would argue that they're using those relatively cheap Shark processors, but I'm like, still worth more than a CPU. And I know obviously there's lots of talk versus do you get running it on a board, that's huge because I mean we see that in live sound like Waves enabled Digico consoles that will run Waves plugins relatively losslessly. Like they have basically a built-in sound grid server, and so I could see that happening. I think we have to find a way to make that technology a little bit more affordable because none of the in my opinion, none of the solutions that are like worth it are competitively priced for the kinds of people that would necessarily be buying.
No, but I'm not talking about I'm talking about more VSTs for with the Rodecaster. We actually have SR375 here. By the way, Red Cabin Acoustic, how you doing? Appreciate you and the others in the audio community. I appreciate you too. Thanks for coming by, man. SR375. Rode should support VSTs on the Rodecaster, and the way you look at that is so let's take the Mackie DLZ Creator XS with that beautiful screen that allows you to really manipulate the EQ, to really do a lot of fun stuff with it. Imagine that thing maybe you don't like the EQ, maybe you want a different compressor on that, right? Like that's where you start to see, probably a lot of money going. Like if there was some way that two companies can merge and we're offering Waves through this, I would be curious to see how that would work and whether or not they would have a powerful enough unit that could handle that kind of stuff. But you're looking at units from 2017 that were doing that for UAD, and I'm pretty sure the Rodecaster setup with, I believe it's an octa-core or it's a quad-core, is probably more powerful than the units in 2017 from UAD.
Yeah, and I mean something like the Rodecaster running VSTs is possible because with that style of interface, because the Rodecaster lineup are basically computers. And so they have all of the hardware resources that you theoretically would need to run. It's just whether or not the operating system they're running supports it, all those little things. But I think the prime use case, because if you're in a production environment, you're not going to use this. This is live. This is a live feature set. This is a feature where you don't have time for post-production because you're doing it live. So having a live product line, and I kind of, again, I'm looking at Rode at the Rodecaster video series, the Streamer X, these products are catered to that audience. So having a product like that that's enabled for, some kind of plugin standard, probably VST, because it's kind of, to my knowledge, it's still the go-to. I use AAX because I'm Pro Tools, but that's, is what it is. So I'd be interested to see, if you're right with that. Let's mark that prediction. If you see any, live anchored boards with VST support.
I don't know if it's something that's going to be like next year, but I think it's like we're running out of things to hail as the next big thing. I think like there's possibilities that we could see new stuff come out, but variations of what already has. Like, what are you going to improve on? The Rodecaster Pro, they even brought down the latency, the headphone latency on them, so it's almost, you almost can't hear it. I mean, there's a lot of little things that they've done. What are you going to improve on that? It's tough, right? So,
and I think the hard thing too is, again, these live interfaces. One of the things that's really important with a live interface or a tool for use in a live scenario is low latency. And the problem when you just open up VST plugins is every plugin has its own inherent latency. So you'd have to put restrictions on the types of plugins. Like a good example is, I use the Waves Abbey Road vinyl plugin, which adds probably 1,300 samples onto my latency. And that coupled with most good limiters will inject a certain amount of latency, noticeable latency, into the like half a second kind of thing. And so you really have to find some way to test that and make sure, because obviously Rode takes pride in their low latency. They don't want to screw with that too much.
Yeah, this is interesting. SR375. Cheap CPUs are very powerful these days. ARM is king. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, it's also becoming easier and easier with ARM as the ARM is being integrated. Of course, Mac kind of pushing that forward more than anybody else has in the past.
But I was going to say, maybe some of these companies can use what Apple has done with their SoCs, their M series, as a bit of inspiration. I mean, obviously now we've seen the sheer power that you can get out of a system on a chip, a full content workstation 6 times over on a
like I've got a Mac Mini that is more powerful than my,
and granted,
my PC.
The R&D that Apple's pouring into those SoCs is kind of cost prohibitive. But take some rulings out of that book and say, okay, it is possible, and it's possibly if you can stomach the R&D, it's a better option.
Okay. Once the R&D is done, though, how many companies reverse engineer that and may build their own?
You can reverse engineer to an extent. Some stuff it's easier than others. Obviously, a processor is a series of circuits, so generally a lot of that is if you wanted to reverse, if you have the equipment to reverse engineer microscopic traces, then you'll probably figure out their schematics.
The SoC, maybe not the CPU.
But I don't know whether you can reverse engineer. Like, again, this is engineering brain talking here. But like, I don't know that you can always reverse engineer intention, right? You can reverse engineer result. But ultimately, the equations, so to speak, that went in to get that result that you're reverse engineering, you got to talk to somebody to get that stuff.
Right. SR375, this is interesting. The Rodecaster runs a modified Android OS at its core. Can you confirm that? Because I do know that the Rodecaster series is basically built on the Mac. Like, they built this specifically to work with Macs, and Windows porting was kind of not secondary, but this was like the reason they built it with Macs in mind is because there's no variation. Right? Macs are Macs. With Windows, you've got to there's tons of variation. It'd be interesting if you have proof of that. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to find that out.
I was gonna say, apparently, according to Google, AI is not even smart enough. It completely misunderstood my question.
Well, on that Rode, I will give Rode credit. I've been face to face with them, and I've asked certain questions that they just shrug and they won't answer, and that's fair. Right? Like, even if they did answer, I wouldn't even be able to, I would never even dream of saying it here. But I would ask direct questions about the CPU and that, and they just shrug and, well, we don't want to talk about that. And that is fine. So you're not going to find out a lot about, it's the same thing with Mac. If you went in and asked them, about their SoC back in the day when the M1 came out, I'm pretty sure they weren't just dumping out all their secrets.
No.
I hate how buggy getting the YouTube chat comment boxes to pop up. Interesting. Sorry, is anybody else having a problem with the comment box? Let me know. How are you, Ahmed Philippine? Not too bad, brother. How's she going? Okay, so SR375, Broadcom, Ampere, and Qualcomm offer SoCs that are ARM. Yeah, and they're really good ARM SoCs too. And
yeah,
that's
and so if you use something like that as the core component of your product, then yeah, you obviously you're raising the roof on most of the limitations. You still need good IO, obviously, robust IO to accommodate. But if you've got the power under the hood, you can do most everything else with software.
Yeah, this is interesting, Midnight Wolf. I feel like most audio gear from a lot of brands is the same thing, but just in a shiny new package.
Just regurgitated. Yep.
See, you know what? I actually have a video coming out Monday, unless I can get the video on my Elgato done in time, is basically talking about that. When you look at an interface from a specific price point, so between $200 and $400 for an interface, most of the internals are usually the same. Like you'll have a lot of, because those are the the best preamps and this and that, and you're going to notice that there's very little separating except for a few quote unquote bells and whistles, like an air button. Ooh, or this one has MIDI input, and there's so little. You need to get above $1,000 before you start to see gear separate itself from each other. I mean, like,
let's be honest, those kinds of innovations that really separate a company like a Sennheiser or like a Neumann, same company. Just point that out. Those things, again, they require cost going in, and obviously these companies look to make that cost back. So if they're going to do, like companies that decide to integrate Dante into their product, that there's a cost associated with that. A cost that's different from like AES 67 or some other Ethernet based protocol that somebody could go with. It's one of the things I think, Avid with Pro Tools Carbon years ago went with AVB. They put Ethernet ports on it, but their choice of protocol was AVB, which video people were like, okay, that makes sense. But music people who were looking at this as a main interface are going, what the hell is that? What is AVB? You need special switches to manage AVB device. You can't use regular packet switchers for Ethernet and like all kinds of weird stuff. And people paid like $5,000 for those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're over an hour, guys.
Oh man.
If you haven't checked it out, Dylan posts the link one more time, and also post the link in the comments of this video. So not just the live comments, but the actual
comments. Yeah, for sure.
And you say, check the video out here. And yeah, check it out. Drop a like on it. Definitely let the algorithm know that Dylan's doing something good. And yeah, hopefully you guys like that. And hopefully there's more stuff like that coming up.
Those are the links. So hit up the comments. I just put it down there. Hopefully it didn't get automatically vetted.
Yeah, definitely like this stream as well, guys. Give a thumbs up. Can I get the thumbs up? All right, come on. I got fireworks.
Nice. You and your crazy
That's the double thumb up. Look at that. All right, guys. Have yourself a great week. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, next week. Guys. See you later.